Critical Blast, where pop culture gets blasted.
And good evening. I'm RJ Carter, Senior Managing Editor here at criticalblast.com. And tonight we are going to do our usual delving into the crowdfunding of comics. And with us tonight, somebody we haven't spoken to for, believe it or not, over a year and a half. It has been far, far too long since we've had Rob Muerto on the stream. Rob, welcome back, man.
Hey, welcome. Thank you for having me.
Glad to do it. You know, last time we talked, I think I was on an older laptop in the swimming pool room of a hotel somewhere.
Nice. That's the best. That's actually the best way to do these things.
Oh, it was. I had an echo going on that was all my own. So how did your last campaign turn out? Obviously, it's successful because you're on the second one now. But did it have the level of success you were hoping for, or are you trying to shoot bigger this time?
And it was like a middling success. I hoped for more, to be honest with you. But I'm very confident that the second one is going to do a whole lot better, as second campaigns tend to do. Because part of the, as you know, the crowdfunding game is that you need to prove yourself
Yes.
as a quantity in the space. And then once people know that you can fulfill, and that you're not just hot air and you're not going to take their money and disappear, then they're much more prone to back your books. And also the first one was quite well received. So
yeah, that's the important distinction. It's not just your second crowdfunding, it's your second one after you fulfilled the first one.
Exactly. Yeah.
I've actually graphed this out, Rob, and I've gone to different campaigns and checked, which ones have gone out to a second or a third or more issues of the same franchise, not just, that they did another book. Like, your boy Zach, he puts out a different title all the time, but it's never, issue number 2, issue number 3 of a continuing story. And there's a distinct rise with like the third issue and going forward. It kind of plateaus, but it definitely goes up the more you continue to put product out and fulfill on it.
And I feel like that's the case, especially on sequels of the same franchise. You know what I mean? It's something that's building an audience, and then it just keeps accruing more and more people, because typically when you do the second and the third campaigns, you offer the original books, and people want in, and I feel like that's the case. Your boy Zach, I don't know why he's not doing more Jawbreakers, because that was his biggest hit.
Yes, it was. I don't know. It's like he's brainstorming a bunch of things, and then he's subcontracting out anyway. He's giving, you do this book and you do that book, and
right.
And Expendables Go to Hell. That should have been like, it was huge, but it should have been like national news huge.
Yeah. Well, that's they really. It's not every day it gets Stallone to back your project,
Exactly.
I mean, I don't know if you backed it, but you at least endorsed it, because you've been able to use his name.
Yeah, he had a creator credit in there somewhere, product producer or something.
Mm-hmm.
I think Chuck Dixon was writing on that one, obviously, but.
I'm surprised that the far left didn't grab onto that more than they did. I guess that.
Yeah.
Once you're as big as Stallone, you can get away with ruffling some feathers.
Well, yeah, I mean, you could be Stallone and back a comic book from a white supremacist comic skater, and nothing happens. But you go golfing at the wrong course, and by God, they want your head then.
But that's one ask too many,
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. I was like, I hope while he was there that he got Trump has been in movies, he's been in a couple of them, I think it would be hilarious if they got him to be in the Expendables 3.
Right? Yeah. I mean, listen, Stallone's clearly a conservative. I don't know why he just doesn't come out and. At this stage, what has he got to lose? You know.
Yeah, he's got money out the yin yang. He's not going to go broke or anything.
Right.
Uh,
Yeah.
just own it.
Yeah.
If a bunch of people just came out and owned it, there'd be like nothing could be done. It would be like we either cancel Hollywood or we accept it. Uh, anyway, I do have your Tales from the Classroom Part 2 up here. And to entice people into signing up for this newsletter, let's refresh people on what Tales from the Classroom is, because this is it's a unique little genre here that you don't see a whole lot of.
Well, it's the story of. So the basic premise is that it takes place in a world where only monsters exist, and it's the story of a young zombie who transfers schools from his all zombie high school, Romero High, to a sort of an experimental multi-species high school, uh, the equivalent of a multicultural experiment, I guess.
It's busing.
Pardon?
But back in the 70s, they called that busing whenever
Is
they
that
were
what it was?
integrating the high schools. Yeah. So,
Okay.
they would take, kids in one town and bus them all the way to
Mhm.
another town where there was a different ethnic mix so that they could say, yeah, look, we've got the schools integrated. It's a
I see.
social experiment.
Okay. Well, in this context, it's actually because his father got a promotion, so they moved to the big city, and he sort of had to move with his family.
Yeah.
And it's the story of him trying to adapt to this foreign, completely alien world to him, and especially because uh, when he used to attend Romero, he was sort of like the top dog and worshipped by every other zombie student. And then he gets to Cthulhu High, which is this multi-species high school, and he has a rude awakening upon finding out that not only is he no longer top dog, but he's actually zombies in general are firmly at the bottom rung of the social heap, so to
Oh, boy.
speak. And it's like it's a fish out of water tale, and I think there's plenty of juice there to explore, and I mapped out a stories that's going to be told across 5 volumes, and this is the second one. And I'm super excited about it because we got a new art team, and they're even better than the first one, who I already liked. And I'm jazzed to show it to everybody.
Very cool. So he's got a battle against what, like, witch supremacy and vampire privilege and stuff like that.
Vampire privilege, exactly. That's right. Well, vampires and wolfmen are sort of competing for the top spot at the
Aren't they
social.
always?
Yeah, exactly. So yes, fight against that supremacy, basically.
So you got I want to guess that there are like 3 at least stories in this upcoming volume, because you've got your main running story here with Tales from the Classroom with Rob Muerto, your character.
Mm-hmm.
And then it looks like you got 2 backups coming here with you're gonna have some Matt Krotz work going on in here.
Yeah, I mean, those are. I'm going to have plenty of supplemental stories. Those are the 2 main ones that I'm really pushing because I like the creators involved. Matt Krotz is sort of a very underappreciated indie sensation. He should be much more of a sensation, but he's got his own book, Kyrie. I don't know if you're familiar with it.
I am familiar with it. In fact, I want to say that he's coming on the show Monday. Monday when we'll have Wild Tales period.
He's a fantastic guy, and I like his art. I like his art, and so I wrote this story named "Quest for the Cosmic Dreidel" that has very it delves into the mind of this character named Joshua the Golem, who's sort of not all there. People call him eccentric, but he's actually more like crazy, you know. And
Sometimes
and
they actually are just nuts. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And he has he sort of has like fantastical delusions that I think Matt Protz's art, which is sort of very loose and indie in a way, but in a way that I really like, fits this particular story.
Yeah. It's funny. We had in St. Louis, there's a drive time radio show that I listen to all the time. And if you've ever, if you listen to drive time radio, you know that it's always the guy who's trying to evoke reactions and keep people entertained. And this was more comedy, but he would try to do serious shows, and then his audience was always expecting comedy. Well, one episode he had a local, not a priest or even I guess, but somebody who practices Kabbalah. It's a Hebrew person practicing Kabbalah, and he was talking about the rituals they do here, and how they live their lives and stuff. And I got through on the call in, and I was like, "This is all very interesting, but I'd really like your guest to go into the golem." And the host hung up. He's like, "I'm sorry, my audience they're expecting me to do jackassery all the time, and this is just what they do." And the guy's like, "Oh no, that's a real thing." And it just like stopped the show. He's like, "What? I want a golem. I want a fucking golem right here, right now. Make me a golem."
But so he claims that it's a real thing that you can actually make a golem.
Yes, absolutely. So
that's high level Kabbalah, I guess. Yeah, that's amazing.
It's the Leth and the Aleph, and just all you got to do is just get a tissue and wipe their forehead, and you kill them. So
That's funny. Anyway, we delved deep into some Jewish lore, and both Matt and I did a little research, and it's we incorporate a lot of Jewish elements in this book, that I think are fascinating. Because
this looks like it's taking place in the past.
It takes place in his own head, basically.
Gotcha.
That's a little bit of spoilers, but yeah.
What's this thing he's writing or pointing with? Because that looks like a nose picker.
It's something Jewish, man. Matt did his due diligence, and it's something that they use. As is the shawl that he's wearing has a name
that I recognize. But yeah, it's a pointing at finger. It's like, what is it? It's like a back scratcher for your nose or something.
As are those lamps. They're called the Ner Tamid lamps, and I mean, we really did our research and learned a bunch of things about the Jewish religion, which I find fascinating. And
well, Matt is nothing if not meticulous about researching his ancient history. And it informs everything he does.
Exactly, he's a history buff, so that's great.
BAP2 is in the chat. Welcome, BAP2. We're talking with Rob Muerto here for his second volume of Tales from the Classroom. Now, I'm going to, you talked earlier about second campaigns always have an option to get the first issue. You're going to be doing that with this one as well, right?
I will, yeah. I will, both in digital form, which, depending on how generous I'm feeling when I release the campaign, might be released for free, actually, to people.
A digital form of the first book.
Of the first book, yeah.
All right. Well, I'm going to, I don't know what the pinup is yet, but as I type my name in here and register, perhaps you can tell me what that's going to be.
The pinup. Well, once you register, anybody that registers is going to get a free pinup. I don't want to tell you what it is because I'd rather it be a surprise.
Can you tell us who's going to do it?
I'm not. I actually have like 3 pinups in the works.
It's Preston Acevedo. He does all of them. He does everybody's. He's everywhere.
So, but I still have to make a determination of which is the one I'm going to offer for everybody that signs up.
All right.
It's one of them.
Now, you got this second tale here that you're putting up on the sign-up page for people to know about. and this is the tale of Cleotep. And this is coming to us from. Is Von Klaus writing this?
Yeah, he wrote that. It's here's the thing. I want to do with Tales from the Classroom. I want that every book is going to be a continuation of the main story, but I also want it to be a supplementary type book, full of showcases of different artists and writers, and where we're going to use the opportunity to get some of the most talented people that I could collaborate in these books, but get them to delve into some of these different characters and their backstories, and because there's a lot of different, it's a very rich universe, and I feel like even characters that sometimes are lingering in the background, people are curious about them.
Sure, you can make them interesting, even if you've only seen them once or twice in the background. You can make them interesting.
Yeah, in the first book, there's this character named Sanchez de Chupacabra, and he doesn't really have much of in terms of speaking lines. But you do see this little thing panning out in the background where he's being handed a goat, and he's feeding on the goat, and people got a big kick out of that.
And they don't eat goats; they suck on them.
They suck on them. Yeah, that's what he was doing. He was sucking on the goat's butt. And it was just a nice little visual gag that we included in there. But it was enough to get people asking questions,
Yeah, you had everybody who got a book was hitting up the internet that day. What is a chupacabra?
Yeah.
But it looks like riding on Mr. Cleotep's bus here is a wild time, because these guys are just hanging onto their seats and being thrown backwards.
Yeah. He's one of those reckless drivers. He thinks he drives extraordinarily safely, but everybody else disagrees.
Well, he arrives in one piece.
He always arrives in one piece.
He's bandaged together, held together by bandages. So
yeah,
there was more.
The ligaments keep getting in his eyes, though.
Yeah. So we're going to go back to you got some background artwork here. Rob goes to Cthulhu High. And this is just to
show that in the first book, Cthulhu High was sort of a really super generic looking school, really, because a lot of the art that was done in the first book was from 10 years ago, and all I did was sort of salvage that art, find a colorist and an inker, and publish it, basically. With this second one, we're trying to correct a lot of the mistakes we did with the first. And one of the things I wanted to do with the first is have a school that was really a character unto itself, and really flesh out the location as much as possible.
Okay.
And and we're doing that,
And then you got Principal Kong now, as in the big ape Kong.
Yeah. An homage to him.
Okay. Nothing wrong with that. I just wanted to make sure I was getting the right association with the name there. That's a nice. That looks like it could be part of an animated cartoon series right there. I mean, it looks like a cell. It looks like an animation cell.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, the guy we got to do that is this guy named Tad Lambert, who's a visual development artist for an animation studio.
Well, that explains it.
And and that clock that you see in Principal Kong's, that's the clock tower. That is his personal study is located in the clock tower, and that actually features. It's an important location in Quest for the Cosmic Dreidel, and features prominently.
Yeah, the clock face is backwards, by the way. But
oh, really?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's frontwards to us, which means that outside it's going to be backwards. If it's facing that direction.
All right, that's something we got to fix.
I'm an editor. I find these things. Rob, I had a hardcover copy of 7 Reasons Why Not to Grow Up by Jimmy Gownley that came to me from Scholastic, hardcover. And it was an early release, and I was reading it. I was like, this makes no sense. And I was like, oh, these 2 pages are out of order. So I emailed the Scholastic PR guy back, and I was like, hey, these are art copies, right? You're going to want to fix this. These 2 pages here. And I showed him exactly where in the email. And he emailed back, says, thank you. We will fix this right away. Because I hadn't found it. And then when I talked with Jimmy Gownley on stream, we did the after show, and I was like, he showed me, yeah, you got the one that was the art copy? He's like, those weren't art copies. That was you, huh? I was like, oh. He's like, they pulped 40,000 copies of this thing because of that. Somebody probably lost their job.
Crazy.
But it's kind of important that the pages are in the right order when you read a story.
Obviously, you would think they'd take care of that.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm not a casual comic reader. I look at like
you probe into the detail, which I like.
Yeah, well, you saw that intro video we did with the critical blast signal thing. That was a Fiverr job. Then she'd done it for a couple of other people with logos, and I kept noticing that it was like a frontward logo on the thing, and then a frontward logo on the clouds. I'm like, that doesn't work. So
right. Yeah.
I made sure that you would take 2 logos from us.
I was going to comment on that because it's a lot spiffier than I'd remembered. The intro is really nice. So congrats for that.
That's brand new. We had that countdown thing we had going on for a while, and we introduced every show for a year with the same countdown with royalty-free music that apparently now had a copyright strike on it. I was like, I got to go through a whole year worth of stuff and mute it in every section. But apparently they didn't strike all of it.
But how can you get copyright struck with royalty-free music? That's confusing.
Well, there's 2 ways to do it. First of all, the place that you get it from that says it's royalty-free can lie to you and just give music away.
Exactly.
And second of all, the song could be royalty-free, like, anything by Beethoven, but the performance, there's the content copyright, and then there's the performance copyright. So if you play Beethoven's Fifth on your own, that's one thing. But if you record, the St. Louis Symphony Orchestra playing it and they sell it on album,
I get it. It's like Mac the Knife or whatever. It's a popular folk song, and but if you put in Jimmy Gale, whatever, singing it, it's not royalty free.
Frank Sinatra. Sinatra's music is hardest. Remember, he used to do, well, he didn't do it. He was already passed, but when Married with Children was on the air, Love and Marriage, that was his song.
That was his rendition?
That was his rendition of it. And the only reason I know anything about that at all is that when we started getting the DVDs out in the early days of DVDs, I put the first season in, and I was like, that's not the song. It sounds like somebody's trying to play the song, but making it very, very different. And there were no lyrics. And I found out, they didn't sign a contract with the Sinatra estate for home theater distribution. Contracts were very specifically, about what they could be used for. It was for broadcast only, and home market was not even thought of when they signed that contract. A lot of DVDs came out that way. My Birds of Prey DVD. I was looking forward to not the Harley Quinn one. No, I mean the television series. Let's not throw all sets out the window here. But I used to love that Amy Allen intro song that was on the originals, and then the last episode was just crammed with like some Tori Amos stuff and some Tattoo. And I was like, great songs in this. Replaced all of them, even the theme song. It was like they were in the Warner catalog, but they didn't have the rights with the creators for that.
Crazy. Yeah, I guess they didn't foresee DVD blowing up quite to the extent that it did. Although VHS was already a thing, so that's strange that they didn't.
It was already a thing, but VHS wasn't happening a lot for television series because it was so blocky. I mean, if you wanted to get a series on VHS, one season was like 12 tapes.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
It took up a lot of space.
I think I remember maybe seeing Cheers on VHS, and that's about it.
Yeah, and I think my father-in-law had MASH, and it was like taking up a wall of his living room.
Yeah.
All over the place.
Yeah, for TV shows, it was never quite big. Now that you mention it, that makes sense.
But movies can go digital and distribute that way. Um, Comic books, not so much. I mean, yeah, we have people who like the PDFs, but I think we're always going to be printing them.
I think so. Although this whole thing with augmented reality may add a whole new edge to the digital formatted comic books. I've seen some pretty cool stuff with it.
Are you thinking about doing stuff like that?
Well, I just saw this trading card that was all spiffed up with augmented reality, and it looked fantastic. Really, really, really cool. And maybe I'm not quite ready yet to go that route, but I can foresee myself doing it in a future campaign.
So that's like augmented reality. That's like where we'd be looking at this picture here of Cthulhu High, and then
Yes,
we can see it just fine. But if you look at it with your phone, suddenly like maybe the cast is playing in the playground on your phone through the camera lens.
exactly. Or the gates open and some crazy thing happens, or bats
Yeah.
come pooping out, or whatever.
They're doing that with Legos too. I think you can build Legos and then take a picture of it, and they come to life in your camera,
Oh, really?
which is just weird. But you still need the physical to base it off of. The digital stuff I've never been a digital guy because I have trouble reading PDFs.
Me
Doesn't
too.
matter
Actually,
what I do.
I don't. There's something about digital information that's harder to process for me. That information in general is harder for me to process when I read it digitally.
Yeah,
And there's something about the paper and the physical.
I want to hold it.
I want to
I
hold it,
get,
and it's more fun. And also, there's another crucial issue with comic books in particular, which is the page turns.
yes,
There's something about the page turns
because
just
you get set up for the surprise and everything too.
exactly.
That's why when I view PDFs, I get PDFs for review purposes all the time at the website. I was like, I bring it up and like, there's the cover, like just the big cover. I'm like, okay, hit the view buttons for this and this, which takes and puts a 2-page spread up. But inside page 1 is on the right as the cover with nothing, and then you get 2 and 3, so that your spreads happen naturally. But even then, by the time I shrink it down to where I'm getting the top and bottom of a full page on my monitor, and I've got a fairly big monitor, by that point it's shrunk down so much I can't read the text anymore. So I'm like, okay, I've got to scroll down, scroll up, scroll down, scroll up. I hate that.
Yeah. It's not the same experience, and it's really not the same experience when people read it on the phone. That to me should be that should be illegal. I've given no, because I've given out digital copies of the first tales for review, and people tell me that they're reading this thing on the. There's no way you're going to enjoy a book on your phone.
Yeah, Bap2 says he got his first PDF comic set only due to the price of getting all the comics in physical. And I know that there are people who have to have PDFs. But if you've got a device that's like a page, that's great until you get to a 2-page spread, and then you can't see it anymore because you got to turn it to the side, which shrinks the pages down. And it sucks.
Yeah. It does. We started the way we formatted it, and with the first tales was pretty decent, and then we also included a semi-interactive component towards the end, where lots of the pinups that were printed out, you could see them, but then when you would click, it would say like "click me here," and then you would click, and Rob would show up with an extra bit of information about the pinup you were looking at, and that was I thought that was sort of neat, and sort of redeems the digital format by offering something new that the printed page can't.
Well, and now what you do is you sell your PDFs with a non-fungible token.
Exactly. That's yeah.
I was like, so that means that you now own the bits that you
Yeah,
already have, and you can sell them to somebody else, and they're unique bits. Like if I'm just wanting to read the book, I can go to somebody with an NFT and say screenshot, 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 send me the JPEGs, make my own PDF, and I can read the book again.
it's crazy.
So
It's crazy, but who knows? But maybe one of these days when holograms become ubiquitous, maybe NFTs will make sense to me in that scenario. But right at this moment, no.
no, not at all.
Yeah,
I cannot, I can't have Neil Adams sign my iPhone if I've got one of his books electronically on it. It just doesn't work.
exactly.
I gotta have physical. So we've kind of glossed over the main storyline here. I know we talked about who Rob Muerto is and what he's doing at Cthulhu High, but where did we leave him off at the end of the first issue? Did you get a closure, or did you have a little bit of a cliffhanger to launch him into this one?
We had a little bit of a cliffhanger. It was his first school night that went nothing short of disastrously. He ends up getting his ass whooped by Drake, who's a Nosferatu vampire
Ooh.
and Cthulhu High's own most popular quantity. And he just sort of happens to have an axe to grind against zombies and sort of zeroes in on Rob and chooses to make his existence as miserable as possible. And it sort of ends up with him coming home with like his body parts falling apart, and
Got to stitch back up.
I got to get it stitched back up. And his young brother asking, "So how'd it go?" And he's like, "How do you think it went?" And he just looks completely destroyed. And hopefully the second one is it's the second school night because it's a direct continuation. It's not like there's a time gap. It's literally the second school night. We're going to see how it goes for him.
Now, it being high school and him already running up afoul against one of the upperclassmen, upper echelon characters,
Right.
There's got to be a girl involved somewhere.
There is, yeah. There's Drake's girlfriend, who he sort of has the hots for, though he won't care to admit it. Eliza. Yeah.
And what is she?
She's a vampire as well, but just a different species of vampire.
Okay.
The Strigoi. So Drake's purple, and he's got like these oversized fangs, and he's more powerful. And she's blue, and she's got these I don't know what you call them, but like these head tentacles that sort of get they perk up whenever she gets mad.
Now you're throwing out some terms here that lead me to believe that this is more than just vampires and zombies and gargoyles. Oh my, because that would be universal monsters generic level. You're throwing out Strigoi and Nosferatu, and you're putting in a lot of sub levels of things that people don't think about existing.
Right, yeah. Well, we try to go deep with this lore and try to like world build as much as possible, and yeah, but it's in the context of the Tales from the Classroom universe. Even the monsters don't know a lot about each other because there's so many, and so many subspecies of monsters that it's they're all constantly learning.
Yeah, and this is a world where it's just monsters. There are no humans. I mean, I don't know what zombies were before they were zombies, because usually, it's an
They've always
undead human being.
That's a good point. But they come out of the grave as zombies.
They come out of the grave as zombie. Okay.
You
So,
know.
so,
So
so
like
mon-
instead of hospitals, there's like these massive grave sites where there's with blank headstones, and then all of a sudden here lies, and then the name shows up, Rob Muerto, and Rob Muerto pops out, ready to go.
and he pops out as a teenager, and he's got a little brother and family and everything.
Yeah, they roam around in these grave sites, and then latch on to the first zombie that they meet, and they create little family units.
Well, whatever works, man. It sounds like you got it every angle planned out here. Like we've run into a problem. Make a new rule.
Yeah, exactly.
It's, that was like I was getting kind of frustrated earlier this week. I binged Death Note, and I'm going in as an anime virgin pretty much for the most part.
Okay. Did you enjoy it? I watched
I
the first two episodes, and it grabbed me.
Yeah, that's I got hooked on the first two episodes. I watched all 37 of them.
Wow.
By episode 22, that's like end of season one, but it wasn't called that. So, but things came to a head there, and then continued on, and like this is a whole different season. Different things are happening, and it wasn't as good. And there's apparently a movie that was made afterwards, an American movie called Death Note, based loosely on. Don't watch it. Don't.
No, I won't. No, but there's a friend of mine that was he was adamant about me watching Death Note. But in Portugal, the only Death Note that we have access to on Netflix is that movie. And he told me the same thing. Don't avoid that. Just watch the anime. Finally, I was able to watch the first two episodes, and I thought the premise was fantastic, and it was really well executed. And,
well, it just popped up on my Netflix this week, and I've had Netflix running for a long time, so it might have just become available or something.
Oh, okay.
So you might want to check again. It was cool. And of course, now that I've done that, Netflix is like, "Oh, you like anime? Here's this and this and this," and I'm like, "Hold on." and yet I'm watching. I'm 8 episodes deep into Parasite now, which is another anime.
Well, you're going to become an otaku by the end of it.
I will. I was like, that's what I put it on Twitter. Is like, I've watched like almost no anime at all. I'm halfway through Death Note, and I want a Misa waifu pillow. I'm not ignorant. I know about these things, but I just couldn't imagine wanting one. And I'm like, now I do. So.
Exactly. Well, you should check out Ninja Scroll, which is a great movie, great anime.
Oh, that's another. Everybody's showing me some great stuff. I'm getting that. I'm getting something about geese. So I'm sure Netflix will throw a lot of stuff at me that I'm going to start watching.
Yeah,
now,
the algorithm is going to get you now.
Yeah. I'll tell you this though. If I see something pop up and it looks interesting, and I let the preview thing play, and it's all subtitled in English and spoken in Japanese, I'm like, nope, and right out of that, because I watch a lot of it during the day while I'm working from home, in the whole everybody's still working from home business. So I can follow the story out of the corner of my eye if I can hear it. But if I got to read the movie, I'm like, no, I don't have the focus for that right now.
So it's always you always watch it not subtitled, dubbed, right, in English.
Dubbed, yeah. It's got to be dubbed for me just so I can follow along.
Yeah. I mean, personally, I prefer the original. Usually, I like I like how much more committed the Japanese voice actors are. They're always like, oh,
yes. It's interesting too, the cultural stuff that goes on, and they're like, and again, I'm only referring to Death Note now because it's pretty much all I've got under my belt. But Misa's captured by the police, and she's on a, she's chained up. I'm like, okay, she's been arrested by the police. She's got a blindfold on. Her dress is ripped. Why is her dress ripped? What kind of interrogation was this? And she's, telling the captain, like, oh, Mr. Stalker, your video won't be any good if you don't. Like, you're okay with this?
Well, that's there's a huge. That's what I find so Japanese, so fascinating about Japan, is that it's one of those few countries that's resisted like the Western global cultural invasion, basically.
Yeah, it's a good place. It's looking more and more like a good place to move to.
Yeah, exactly, man. Yeah, no wokeism over there.
They won't let us in because they don't want to be infected. But
exactly. But they got the right idea.
Yeah, they do. Speaking of anime and animation, I've already talked about how these look like cells, and you said you got a guy who's worked in animation who's doing some of the art. any considerations of like, pitching this as something that could be an animated series?
Absolutely. I just wanted to get to a spot where it's successful enough that people will take a look at it. It might
Yeah.
it might not be this second volume, but hopefully.
Hey, you might need to get 5 issues under your belt there, and then send the trade paperback over to Netflix or something.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. No, I'd love to. And everybody that looks at that reads the book feels like it should be one. And it was envisioned. And to be honest with you, it was originally envisioned as a feature film. And then I just, as I started thinking about it more, I thought, maybe this could work as a TV show as well. And then eventually I got to comic book format. And yeah, I think it works fantastically as a comic book as well. I think it could live its existence in multiple formats,
Yeah. I mean, it would make a good long form animated series, I think. It's one of 2 series right now that I'm familiar with that are all monster. It's a whole world full of monster, and not just all monster, but this whole teenage monster kind of gestalt. The other one, I don't know if you've seen it out there on Indiegogo. There's one called Glenn in Monsterland from Kevin Philpott.
I've not. I probably have seen it, but it's not at the moment. I'm not. Just say anything.
Normally, I would say, hey, you ever open to crossovers? But the art style in the world is divergent from the one you've got here. That I don't think a crossover would work unless it was like a rift between worlds opened up. Because Glenn is illustrated more like a children's classic fantasy novel, very painted by his artist.
I'll take a look at it for sure. Yeah. I'm open to crossovers for sure. I think Monster MD would be a great crossover, especially because we share artistic teams as well. I was so enamored with Von Klaus's art team that I went and not poached them. I mean, because we don't have ownership over these
True.
These art
No,
teams.
it's exclusive.
But I contacted them to see if they were interested, and they were.
Yeah, that's the thing about all the crowdfunding artists. They're interested in money.
They're interested in money, and when they're very talented, I think the more jobs that they have, the better. You have to share the love with these. Like I said, I don't have ownership over any of my artists, neither, nor do I feel like I do. And Vaughn doesn't feel that either.
No, but it would be very. I mean, again, Monster MD exists on a world with monsters and humans, so it had to be
with monsters and humans. But I have something worked out like for a crossover that I think would be fantastic, and that would bridge that gap of the humans not existing.
I think there's this whole crowdfunding thing, and as people know each other and all their projects, I think there's going to be a lot of crossover starting to happen. I've been pushing for
the shared universe.
Yeah, well, not really a shared universe. I'd kind of like that, but nah. Sometimes, as soon as I think that happens, I think no, it'll ruin everything. But I mean, shared sub-universes work great. I mean, there's some characters where they're, if they exist in a world that works, then yeah, I'll let that happen. But Doc Salem, Preston Aceveto's property.
Yeah.
I've been like, Monster Hunter and Monster MD, and you've got the guy who's hunting the monsters, you've got the guy who's healing the monsters, and have them come at loggerheads for some reason over some monster in the middle. I think that would be a fun story to write. For sure.
I'd be all over that.
Yeah, I think happen to Cthulhu High.
But I think that Vaughn already got his feet wet in the whole crossover game with Shinobi Sasquatch, right?
Yes, he did.
Did you get to read that?
I did not read Shinobi. There's so many of them I haven't read, man. It hadn't been till this last year where I've had money freed up. I went 5 months without a job almost, where I was doing these every night while I was job hunting.
Yeah.
But I've made up
Yeah,
for
it
a
gets
long time.
it's an expensive hobby, you know.
It is, and it sneaks up on you. I mean, I looked at my my Indiegogo page, and I was like, "The hell!" I'm not as huge of a backer, I know, as other people are, but well, shoot, it unlogged me, so let me take care of that. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's like you're right. It does sneak up on you and becomes sort of an addiction almost.
Yeah, and I'll like look at my contributions page. I'm like, yeah, there's a couple of things here I'm waiting to get. I think Monster MD, either Monster MD or X-Farce arrived today. I haven't opened the boxes yet, but I'm like, yeah, there's Monster MD, there's Siamese, there's Beardzerker, Hammerella, Joe King. I'm like, wait a second, that's 200 and some odd dollars just there on one page with 5 books, and I've done this how many times now? It's like, holy crap, what am I doing?
Yeah.
So, and here's that glint.
And you know what, Matt? And can I tell you something? It's if it's expensive for you, imagine people like me that are international and always have to
Oh
pay that
man,
extra fee.
hey, I'm working on that. I'm. Have you not seen? Oh, you haven't seen. Okay, we are multiple companies here, Rob. We are Critical Blast, the review site, Critical Blast, the YouTube channel, and we are Critical Blast Logistics. And if you've seen, have you seen Kemosabe's The Company Men?
Yes, I have seen it floating on Twitter somewhere.
All right, so that's coming out of Australia. It's coming into the United States with a $12 shipping price, not a $25 shipping price, because we're doing the distribution on it, and we've cracked the whole international issue. Now, we haven't figured out, well, we have figured out of the U.S. to other countries the same way. I mean, I've got the formula for sending off to the U.K. for $14 instead of $25, but there's some more things I got to get put in place, and then I've got to repeat that with all the other different countries out there. But once I've tried the UK once, then it's just going to go. Then I'll do Canada, Mexico, and then the world.
So just to make this, so you have your own fulfillment service as well.
Yes.
Oh, that's fantastic! Very great to know.
I built it for international, but I've been getting a lot of attention from domestic saying, hey, will you do ours? I'm like, I can't save you any money. And they're like, yeah, I don't care. It's 2 weeks that I don't have to be filling boxes, that I can be writing more story and progressing my
exactly. Yeah.
It's worth their extra money to do that. Plus, it gets built into the shipping anyway, so it's not really like they're out of money. They're just freeing up time. This is that one I was telling you about. Not to take time away from your thing, but you can see it's all monsters, but it's more of an all ages kind of focus. Not that probably.
I've seen it. I like that artwork a lot. I like it.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I've definitely backed myself because I like Luisa Russo's artwork. She's an Italian children's artist. But yeah, I don't know if it would mesh with. I'm not going to say it's not going to mesh, because I say that and somebody can always make something work.
Yeah, but it looks like Tails skews a little bit older.
I think so.
In the same way that Monster MD skews way older than Tails. But because it's gory, it's a very gory book. I don't know if you actually had the chance to thumb through it, but yeah, there's some pretty gnarly stuff in there.
Yeah,
but,
it's got different levels of gore. I mean, it can be like having somebody's, like Kevin was saying about his daughter, having somebody's leg chewed off was too much. But being swallowed whole by a dragon, that's okay. And truly eaten, not just burped out later, but like you're gone.
Yeah. But yeah, you can get over these things. It's who cares if one skews older and the other one skews a little bit younger. It's if Marvel and DC got to do their little crossover shindig.
Yeah. To go and if you do get to do it, by golly, go big. There's enough monster folks out there. have Monster MD and Doc Salem at Cthulhu High with a portal opening to Monsterland, and the graveyard shift trying to put a stomp on all of it. Just go big. Bring them all in. Crisis on Infinite Monsters or something.
Yeah. The portal. I was thinking of calling it the Comics Gate.
Oh, that would be too good. I was gonna say the gate, but yeah, the Comics Gate. That would be.
And then once you entered it, there would be like this. You would go through a vortex where there's like this radiating sun.
Stop.
Do you know what I'm talking about or no?
Yes. Yes, I know the sunbeam would shine on them all. We got the 800-pound 6-gun gorilla in the chat. Brian Christgau, thank you for showing up, man.
Hey, what a cool creator! One of the most talented creators in indie comics, I think.
He is. He said he got to work with Louisa on a project that didn't happen called Spook City USA. So that sounds like another great monster book that should mesh with all this.
Yeah, you know what? I've spoken to Brian, and I really want to get this done sooner or later. About him doing a collaboration on Tales as well, maybe co-writing one of those supplemental stories, potentially about Principal Kong, because he's already so well versed with giant monkeys, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, there you go, Brian. Hit Rob up in the DMs on Twitter and make this happen. There's still we're just now signing up people for the mailing list on Tales from the Classroom too. So there's time. Speaking of time, what is the timeline on this? I mean, when do you plan on doing a hard launch and fulfilling?
I wish that I could give you like a hard date, but the issue with what's going on is that I want to have at least 50% of the book done before I actually launch the campaign. Right?
That's a good number, yeah.
Because I don't want to. I hate going past the 6-month limit. I have like my own limit imposed that like if people have to wait more than 6 months for a comic book, it's a bit too much for me. I don't begrudge the people that go through, because you can go through a lot of things that delay your campaigns and your fulfillment of the campaigns.
And if it takes too long, then your expectations start to go downward.
Yeah, and
you're not as excited.
Yeah, you're not as excited, and the hype dies down and all that. So like I'm just doing everything so that when I do launch, I have I'm sure that we have everything in place to actually make the book happen. I think we're going to make the book happen regardless. But this once you're 50% of the way through, a lot of the hiccups that you could have gone through have already been.
Yeah, they've been found.
Yeah, exactly.
All the backwards clock faces have been flipped around and fixed.
Exactly. I need to start sending you some more art so you can give you a look-see.
As many, and that's really the biggest problem I've ever had with any crowdfunded comics, is because the creators are like, they're the ones doing everything, and editing is one thing that it's like being your own lawyer. If you're a lawyer, you have a fool for a client. You should not be your own editor because you're just too close to it. And
typically,
yeah, and I've seen so many things that could just be fixed with not even story changes, just simple editing fixes in comics. So I've thought about, hey, should we open up Critical Blast editing? I don't know. Do I have enough time for all of that stuff?
There's plenty of books that I've read and that I've backed where I thought that the premise was really nice. There's a lot going for them, but then if only they had an editor,
Yeah, and it's not, I've got one high-profile book, really. It was like, one misspelling's forgivable, but 2 on every page is not. It's like, oh, this is getting painful to get past. And it was a good story. It was an exciting character. I was like, that's the only thing saving this thing, and it's the only thing that'll bring me back. But dude, get somebody to help you out on the next one.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, Brian, by the way, has said he's down for that. So you heard it here first, folks. if there's a
So-
Kong story with Brian, it happened here.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, we've already spoken about this before, and I just got to work out.
Don't take my exclusive.
No, we've spoken privately. It's still an exclusive, but basically, I just have to come up with a pitch, with a solid pitch that we can both work off of. And yeah, with Von Klaus, speaking of supplemental stories, Von Klaus did that story of the school bus driver, Cletus,
Yes.
and he did a fantastic job. And we got actually the Monster MD team to do that. The entire Monster MD, Von Klaus, Monica McCagney, and Tanya Wicker, whose colors are fantastic. And yeah, she's doing some stuff other than that story for Tales 2. And but even though she's an amazing colorist, she takes longer than usual. So that's part of the reason for the delay for the launch of the book. But to be honest with you, I'm not that worried when the colors are as good as hers are. Might as well delay the process,
Absolutely. Take all the time it needs to do a quality product.
To do a quality product, exactly.
Yeah. All right. Well, Rob, we're hitting up at the top of the hour here. Is there anything else that people should know about Tales from the Classroom before we head out of here?
No, wait for the trailer to drop, actually, because a gentleman named Bronson Gorilla, I don't know if you're aware of him.
No, I don't think I am.
He's an amazingly talented filmmaker and editor and everything. He did the trailer for Tales 2, and everything he's shown of it to me just is mind-blowing. So I can't wait till everybody gets to watch that. If you're not interested in buying Tales 2 after watching that trailer, then you
just won't be, or you're dead inside. You should go.
Check your pulse. Check your pulse, because you might be a zombie like me.
All right, man. You said you're not gonna launch till you're at 50% done. Do you know where you are now? I mean, have you just laid out blank pages, or are you 25% of the way done? Or
I would say with the supplements, we're nearly done. We're nearly done with colors, letters, everything. And that's a good, between all three of them, that's a good 40 pages.
Okay.
And then with the main story, Monica is doing, every day she's turning out a page, basically. And she's about 30% of the way done of the main story.
Okay, so not too far. Not
too far. It's just that once we get to the colors, I'm going to sort out the colors issue. I don't know if we're going to do it with Tanya or not, or if I'm going to hold her off for the remastered version of the books that I might want to do in the future. But we're going to sort it out. I think that the very latest that I want to launch is October. But it's fitting when you think about it.
That'd be a good launch. Be a good launch time for a Halloween book.
Halloween, exactly.
All right. Well, man, appreciate you being on the show with us tonight. Thank you.
Listen, thank you so much. Sorry that I was a little out of sorts. You know the reasons why.
I understand completely.
Backstage, but hopefully we can do this again when I actually launch, and just do this again just to chat, shoot the shit.
Absolutely, yeah. Bring it back when we got some more page to scroll through here. We'll go through the tiers and try to sell some stuff.
Fantastic, and congratulations on all your different ventures. I'm gonna reach out to you about this fulfillment service that might interest me as well.
Do that before you launch, because the whole nut of why I did it was, people are clicking on these campaigns and seeing these great $15, $20 books, and then they nope out of them because of a $25 shipping. I mean, I can fulfill for people who want to do it late, but it helps your sales if your shipping cost has already been pre-calculated to what we'll be doing, so that people can say, oh, it's only $12 to ship. Yes, I will buy that. Let's turn those sales into yeses.
Yeah.
So that you can sell more books. That's the whole That's the whole
That's-
McGilla right there. Sell books.
That's the name of the game, baby.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
Rob, we will see you again sometime as you launch. Folks in the chat, appreciate you being here. We don't have a show without you. And as we always do every night, we just hope that you came here and had a blast.